2023 is the beginning of a new era for fighting games. We got to see new entries in some of the most important and influential franchises in the genre. Got to see smaller games rise from seemingly out of nowhere. Rollback keeps on coming for older titles, and of course we've got a ton more DLC for the fighters we're already playing, and even more new fighters on the horizon. So, without further ado, let's get right into the 2023 fighting game year in review. Despite having Showdown in the name, this is not a spin-off of SNK's popular samurai-based fighting game, and is, in fact, the farthest thing from samurai. VTubers. Idol Showdown is a fighting game based around HoloLive, a Japanese VTuber company. However, this game isn't officially licensed and is 100% a work of passion from HoloLive fans and is completely free. For a fan game, it's incredibly well put together with tons of style, and even I thought it was an official product before writing the script for this video. That being said, I didn't play this one because I have 0.0% interest in VTubers, and I had no idea the game was free. When the game came out, I figured it'd be another flavor of the month fighter like many before it, but this game is legit and has a passionate community behind it, so if this looks interesting to you, give it a try. You've got nothing to lose. Without a doubt, the biggest release of the year, and the one we'll be talking about on this series for the next 5 years, Capcom's flagship fighter and their first new fighting game since the release of Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite, let's talk Street Fighter. Street Fighter VI feels like a direct response to all of the criticism of Street Fighter V, and then some. For the casuals, there's a ton of single-player content, including a fully fleshed out single-player campaign where you can meet your favorite Street Fighter characters in your quest to become the strongest. For those with the competitive itch, the training mode, robust characters, and amazing online features have got you covered. Capcom finally stuck the landing after fumbling their fighting games for years, and I can't express how much of a relief it is to say that. As for the gameplay, that's been shaken up too, with the introduction of the Drive system. The Drive system adds a new layer to meter management and creates a new tug-of-war dynamic between players, making the Drive meter powerful, but if overused, leaves the player in a new disadvantageous state called burnout that can turn the tides of battle against you. While I think mechanics like Drive Rush feel a bit out of place in Street Fighter, it's nonetheless really cool that Capcom are willing to experiment, and I'm interested to see how it plays out. Of course, I can't talk about Street Fighter VI without talking about its accessibility features, mainly modern controls. This is hands down the best try at a simple fighting game control scheme I've ever seen. Modern controls don't patronize the player using them, and it lets a new player jump right in and learn, but leaves the door open enough to get them to learn classic controls if they want to. Like Resident Evil, Devil May Cry, and Monster Hunter before it, Capcom took Street Fighter and elevated it to a standard the series has never seen before. Street Fighter VI's greatest strength isn't the single player, the online, lobbies, graphics, characters, or controls, but all of those, combined together, form a fantastic, polished fighting game worthy of the title Street Fighter.
Street Fighter VI.
Pocket Bravery is a 2D indie fighting game developed by Statera Studios. Pocket Bravery is a modern spin on the Neo Geo Pocket era of fighters, but with a modern twist. At least that's what the store page says. This is another one that I didn't play, but this time, it just flew under my radar. Still, I want to congratulate the developers for making it to release and delivering what looks to be a very polished product. If the gameplay on screen looks interesting to you, give it a shot. You never know, it might be your next favorite. Mortal Kombat 1 is a game I was pretty excited about. It was going back to the basics of MK gameplay, doing away with the restrictive variations and adding in cameo fighters to give characters who didn't make the main roster a chance to shine. Although, from the very beginning, this game had a ton of red flags. The main one being how fast it was coming out and how unenthusiastic the marketing was. Usually when there's a new Mortal Kombat, there's tons of trailers, promotional materials, and interviews, but this time, I don't know, it felt different. I couldn't quite put my finger on it. Despite that, the initial gameplay looked promising, so most went into Mortal Kombat 1 positive, and it stayed that way for a couple of weeks. Once everyone cleared the story and played Invasions, players realized Mortal Kombat 1 didn't have much to offer, which was especially apparent after Street Fighter VI showed us just what single-player content can be in a fighting game. On top of that, NRS can't seem to make a balanced game to save their lives, as the meta was once again dominated by a handful of powerful characters, but now it's worse because the cameo system enables powerful characters and merely allows everyone else to barely survive in the meta. It's a real shame because I love Mortal Kombat. I love the story, I love the characters, but the game just feels half-baked. The PC port also has its fair share of issues, and if you plan to buy it on PC, or any console for that matter, install it on an SSD. If you don't, you have to deal with really long load times. I could go on longer, but we've got a ton more ground to cover, so I'll cut it short here. If you want to play MK1, wait for a sale, and avoid the Switch version at all costs. Fun fact, this game was supposed to come out in November of 2023, but it got delayed right at the last minute to December. That might not mean much now, but if you're watching this in the future, maybe you found that interesting. The original GranBlue Fantasy Versus was a victim of circumstance. When it released, a lot of people were into it and loved the game. Then a global pandemic happened, and that sealed its fate. The new subtitle is fitting. Grandblue is rising, like a phoenix from the ashes. The major issues the original had was the lack of content and bad online, but thanks to the DLC now being included, and another mode I'll talk about a little later, Rising has a ton of content and new, shiny, rollback netcode with crossplay, might I add, that plays great. Now, this game isn't without some controversy. Initially, Rising was set out to have some radical changes that were flat out not good. But thankfully, people voiced their concerns loud and clear, and they walked back most of these changes. One drastic change they didn't walk back, though, is the change to special moves. In the original GranBlue, there were regular special inputs and simple special inputs. Simple inputs were faster but had a fair number of drawbacks like slower cooldowns, for example. This has been thrown out the window. Now classic and simple act the same, giving simple the advantage in some situations. I'm okay with simple inputs not having a drastic disadvantage. However, I do think it's lazy of them to remove any advantage from classic inputs besides a very minuscule damage buff outside of combos. A change like this tips the scale a little too much for my liking, and I really hope this doesn't lead to a trend of developers downplaying traditional controls and eventually getting rid of them completely. Besides that, there has been a fair share of new mechanics added to shake things up and keep things fresh, so if you haven't played in a while like I did, the game will feel fairly new. Last but certainly not least, a new game mode has been added, GranBlue's Fantasy, a Fall Guys mode, but GranBlue. It's pretty fun, but I can see this losing its appeal after the first month if they don't support it post-launch. Rising is just what GranBlue needed, and it's clear the people at XIII Games love fighting games and want their fighter to strive. With all of the DLC included and a couple of new characters to boot, now is the best time to hop into the GranBlue Fantasy. And those were all of the new fighters released in 2023. It was a really packed year. Which game was your favorite? I have to give it to Street Fighter VI on principle alone, but I'd be lying if I said I didn't really enjoy GranBlue. Now that we've got the new stuff out of the way, let's look at how some of last year's fighters are holding up and have a brief look into the future of 2024. Starting off with one of my favorite fighters on the market right now, the King of Fighters, 15, had its second season this year, and it was all around pretty solid, with some great character choices like Najd, Hanako, Gonitz, and of course, my main man, Shingo Yabuki. You can't talk about KOF this year without mentioning the two huge updates the game experienced, the first being the crossplay update, widening the amount of players to play with exponentially, and arguably the most important update, after a year, they finally fixed the online and you can find matches, which is just great. KOF is now on the up and up, but it might get replaced by something else soon. I'd love to see a Season 3, but I wouldn't be surprised if they just end things here. Still, I love me some King of Fighters. Next up, we've got Arc System Works' flagship series, Guilty Gear, with Guilty Gear Strive finishing its Season 2 and starting its Season 3. While I don't play Strive anymore, I am so happy that that man, aka Asuka, is finally playable, and it's really cool to see Johnny and Elfelt come back. One of the more interesting things that happened with Strive this year was the Hacker Man saga, in which a specific person or a group of people were hacking the game so that when online tournaments were happening, they would target specific players and lag them out of the game, making them unable to play. And for a while, Arc System Works was like, there is no Hacker Man is not real, and then they eventually went, okay, Hacker Man is real. And I'm not sure if they fixed that or not. You know, if it isn't fixed, I hope they fix it. Also, I can't fail to mention that they added a bunch of new system mechanics too, which I've heard mixed things about, but I like that the developers are going in and trying to add a little bit more to Strive. I do feel that it's a very snowball-y game, but ArcSys has remained consistently solid, and I hope they do more great stuff in the future. Here's a game you've all definitely forgot about. JoJo's Bizarre Adventure All-Star Battle R got a little bit more of their Season 1 this year and finished out their Season 2 this year. As a longtime fan of All-Star Battle, seeing some of these characters playable is amazing, especially someone like Abakio. And having Wonder of You be the last DLC character is just the cherry on top. Who knows, maybe we can get a fighting game developer to take on the JoJo IP. Because I would love to see something like the Capcom JoJo's fighting game happen again, because it is a truly amazing series. Who cares about One Piece? It's all about the bizarre adventure. DNF Duel got its first season this year, and DNF Duel is a game that constantly perplexes me. Once everything is said and done, it's really going to be interesting to look at like how this game turned out the way it did, and really analyze what went on here. I really don't have much to say. I mean, it's getting DLC characters, but they're taking a really long time to release them, and I never see anyone talk about this game, and I never see anyone play the game. And that's just a shame. I do hope they can turn things around, though. Last but not least, I'm giving my yearly shout out to Skullgirls. They got one DLC character this year, Black Dahlia, and I'm pretty sure they have one left, so hey, we're going to be talking about Skullgirls next year too. And that was all of the DLC that came out this year, or at least I think so. Now, I didn't talk about Street Fighter VI's DLC, or Mortal Kombat's Combat Pack 1, or even the GranBlue DLC, because I feel like it would be redundant to talk about things that are still going on. But hey, I talked about Strive. Well, I had to talk about the end of Strive Season 2, and I can't just talk about the end without talking about what they have out now. Whatever. Out of all the DLC, obviously, I gotta go with the King of Fighters, 15. Shingo alone, sold the season, first character to come out. There's gonna be no better DLC season than that. But I'd love to hear what you guys think and how objectively wrong you are that you think something could top Shingo Yabuki. Oh, we can't have a fighting game year in review without mentioning rollback netcode. More games keep getting rollback netcode, and last year, the prophecy that I kept talking about finally happened. Not only did XIII get rollback netcode, but now we've come full circle. The King of Fighters 13 has rollback netcode. I honestly can't believe it. I never expected those two games to get it, and you know, I'm really happy. The only thing I think I would really want now is a modern port of KOF 11, but Who knows if that'll ever happen. Dragon Ball FighterZ is getting rollback. There was a beta for it though. I played a lot of it, and I really think this is what the game needed. It's definitely going to give this game a lot of interest when it comes out. The last big game that got rolled back was Samurai Showdown, and that one has been very spotty, but I gotta give it to the developers of the Samurai Showdown rollback. They have been pushing out updates like crazy, and with each update it gets better and better. And, you know, I really just hope more developers put rollback netcode into their older games, because it is just so cool to finally be able to play those amazing games online with friends. What game do you want to get rollback netcode next? Now let's transition over to what we can expect from 2024. First up, we've got Tekken 8. Tekken 8, of course, is Tekken 8. I'm kinda excited for this one, although I haven't heard good things about the netcode, and I just heard today that the game doesn't have a tutorial. I really hope that's not true. I'm gonna play it, and I'm gonna talk about it, so I hope I enjoy it. A game I'll definitely enjoy, though, is Under Night In-Birth 2. Under Night In-Birth 2 is Soft Circle French Bread's next big game, and I'm a huge Type Moon and Melty Blood fan. I'm a huge French Bread fan. I played the Under Night beta. The game is fantastic. I cannot wait to really sink my teeth into this one like I did for Lumina and learn this game. We're gonna rep Scion until she gets into Melty Blood. And speaking of Melty Blood, you might have noticed, I didn't talk about it. That's because we got 0 updates this year. We got like a balance patch. You gave Shiki a cool new combo. That's about it. Sad. On a more positive note, we have the new Fatal Fury / Garo game, which I cannot wait for. Fatal Fury is such an underrated franchise, and now that more people know Terry thanks to Smash Brothers, I really hope the new Fatal Fury does good. It should do good if they take all the lessons they learned with KOF 15 and they just apply them to Fatal Fury, because then we'll be swinging right out the gate. I cannot wait to play my man Kane. I'm really looking forward to this one. And that was the 2023 fighting game year in review. Man, what an action-packed year this one was. I really think it's going to be another 100 years before we have another mainline Street Fighter and a mainline Mortal Kombat released in the same year. And to think Tekken might have come out this year, absolute madness. Fighting games are in a really great spot right now. There's a little bit of everything for any type of player, and I would even argue that we might have too many fighting games and there's not enough time to play them all, unfortunately. So make sure you play your favorites. 2023 has also been a huge year for this channel. I cannot thank you guys enough for all the support I've gotten this year. If I could thank each and every new subscriber personally, I would. It's really been a roundabout journey. I had no idea at the beginning of 2023 that I would not only make all of these videos, but that so many people would enjoy them. And I am truly grateful and blessed that I find people that enjoy the stuff that I make. Thank you for 1,000 subscribers. I didn't make a 1,000 subscriber special, so this is the 1,000 subscriber special, even though I make this video every year. I have so many great ideas for videos that I'm really excited about, and I honestly can't wait to make, so please look forward to 2024. You know, this video is special for 2 reasons. 1, it's the 100th video on this channel, and 2, this is the first fighting game year in review I've ever gotten out in December, and all it really took was for me to up my YouTube game. See how things work out? Anyway, to everyone, I hope you have a fantastic holiday season, whatever you celebrate. I hope you get some well-needed rest time, and of course, I hope you keep playing fighting games, and maybe read some Type Moon in there too, huh? I'll be back with another video soon, but until that time comes, bye for now.